welcome to this episode of Authentic Achievements, where it's my absolute delight. I'm so looking forward to this. You've got such an inspiring journey so far, that I know is going to be so impactful to our audience. But before I get carried away and get straight into the conversation, let me share a little bit more with our audience about you. So Ellen is a survivor of sexual assault and domestic violence. She transformed her life through healing and personal growth. She founded Inner Bling Styling, a coaching practice empowering others to reach their next level. By 2024, Ellen had manifested a life beyond her dreams, owning multiple overseas properties, traveling the world, and growing her wealth. Ellen's message of hope, healing, and self-love has made her a sought-after speaker, an author, and a mentor inspiring people worldwide. I mean, Ellen, wow, what an amazing journey. And I love that you've taken your lived experience and now turned that into helping others to get the path that they want. But before we start, can you share with us a bit more about your journey so far? Because I mean, that's one heck of a journey.
Yeah, so it all started. I'm from Florida. So born to immigrant parents. We grew up in the back of a rental store, which is celebrating 50 years this year.
Oh,
So
wow.
my four sibling, we all were in the back running a ruckus, and so I left there, and I was like, I got to get out of the city. I wanted to see the world. So I went off to college with all these dreams. I was valedictorian. I was the Miss Philippines, teenage Philippines. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to college. I do all these things the right way, and nothing bad will ever happen.
Yeah.
So I continued on to Dallas and started my first job. And that was actually the second sexual assault that I experienced from a coworker. And I ended up getting let go. They kept him. And it really set a difficult road for the whole corporate structure. And engineering was like my dream to do the things and solve the puzzles and really launch the life that I had envisioned.
Yeah.
So I'm starting off my early 20s dealing with sexual assault and also the workplace. So I'm trying to figure out that dynamic. And then I got involved in a toxic relationship, which led to domestic violence. And that was hard to accept too,
Yeah.
because it took years after it had ended for me to be like, you know what? I am a survivor of domestic violence. Like, when I thought of survivors, it's like I'm educated, I'm, you know, determined. Like these things don't happen to me,
Yeah.
or and happen to people. But it's just when people have their agendas of what they want in their life and what they're lacking and their traumas, they can bring those on to
Yeah.
others. So fast forward, I had a whole journey going in and out of jobs, moving around. I had my son, which he is like the light in everything and really saved me. So I was raising him as a single mom, and I just did my instinct and nurtured him and really tried to get away from the intergenerational trauma from both sides
Yeah.
of his parents so that he could thrive and flourish. So I spent on some time after my dad got sick in Florida, not able to find an engineering job and having to recreate myself. So that's what started me on wardrobe styling. And so I did the styling for a while, the photo shoot, the the fashion shows, and I was intrigued by it. And the further I got along with it, I realized it's an empowerment piece that was important. Otherwise, it's just fit styling. It's just a look.
Yeah.
But if that look doesn't speak your story or translate who you are, then it's just another outfit. And I found through closet cleanses, working with clients, there's a lot of stories that we tell ourselves to keep these closets on, keep these clothes, weight stories, like transition, so all these different elements that people have. So I've started focusing on wardrobe styling coaching. And around that time, before started really pivoting, I was at a commission only job, and I poured my heart into
Yeah.
that and really bought it into like the promises they were making for what income you could have and lifestyle, and it was draining, and
Yeah.
I walked away from it really down and like, what am I gonna do? Like I'm trying to provide, I'm trying to turn things around. I'm coming out of depression. And it's like, how do I make things happen and work? So I saw a retreat in Costa Rica through some of the other coaches that I know. So I saw it, and in my heart, I was like, I need to be there. Something called me to those jaws jungles of Costa Rica. And so I went. I didn't have money. I was jobless, and I'm like, I'm going to figure out how to make it happen. And I actually went there, and I really let the jungle heal me while I missed like sessions and something like that. But I embraced this open air bungalow that I was in to let me hear from decades of
Yeah.
trauma and being filled with those lies of having no self-worth, right? Like the physical part isn't what damages us the most. It's
No.
the emotional breaking of a person to break them down to nothing. You're essentially, just an object to them, someone to control, someone to like exert their power. So when I was there, I drew a line in the sand and told myself, I deserve all these good things that other people have and that see, and that I just wrote off as like, oh, they're just being extravagant and they're just spending their money. But I wasn't allowing myself to be rewarded for what I do, to acknowledge myself, to really thrive in marketing and engineering. That was my talent for so long before all of this domestic violence and everything happened. So I had to reclaim my life
Yeah.
and seek control back and know that I'm the one in charge of this story. Yeah, you can hurt me, you can do these things, you can violate me, but it's really my human soul that keeps going. And
Yeah.
thankfully I'm still here today to tell the story and to tell myself a new story. And so in the light of all that's happened, I'm moved to Austin. I moved out of the ghetto that I was living in and living with my mom. Very traumatic place for me. So I opened up to the mindset of abundance and took on a director of technical marketing role and started working on my investment portfolio, working with coaches, really doing the hard work on myself and having the mindset changes.
Wow. I mean, what an amazing journey. And I think I loved the part that you said that, you're the author of the story. And I often use that phrase, which is, you are the author of your own story. Sometimes it's time to take back the pen. If somebody else is borrowing it, it's like, get off. That's
Yeah. Get your own pen.
But
Actually, you don't even get a pen. You just get out of here.
I think sometimes we have to do that. And I think you pulled it together so eloquently, but sometimes we have to journey back to ourselves because we've got so far removed from ourselves because of what other people have said. And we've then believed it. And we've then started to look for evidence of that to say, oh, well, I can't be worthy. This can't be right. It must be me. It must be something I'm doing. And I think, as you spoke about so beautifully, when you do that journey back to yourself and realize, no, that's not my story. That's not how this story ends. Just the same way that life can throw us a plot twist, we can throw our own plot twist if we
exactly.
And we can turn that around. I love that. I mean, clearly, what you've already talked about, you've got so many strengths in that resilience. But what would you say are your greatest strengths?
My greatest strength, I would say, my communication, my energy, and my ability to Tetris all these things throughout life to get farther where I need to go, and being resourceful. So all of that combined just gives me the ability to bet on myself. And like, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. They may think I'm crazy. They're like, what's wrong with her? What's this little hood rat girl doing in this nice condo? But it's like, this is my story, and I'm going to acknowledge who I am and be who I am with all these strengths to keep moving forward and elevating and being, 1% better every day. No one can stop that momentum. Now that it's in my hands, you best believe nobody's gonna take that back from you.
I think I totally believe you, because I think when somebody has taken it away and you fight your way back to getting back in control, you ain't going to let that go.
Yeah.
Because it's such a journey, isn't it, to get there? And it sounds to me as well like, with your engineering and your natural problem solving, you're constantly looking for where's the resolution, where's the opportunity to do something different, which pulls on all those other strengths that you've got. And allows you to recognize every problem does have a solution, even if you can't see it straight away.
That is true. Yeah, framing it to be that it's a challenge.
Yeah,
it's not the end of the world. This problem is not bigger than you, or if it is, you take it in bite-sized pieces.
Yeah, it's true. Because sometimes we look at things and they feel overwhelming. I know certain points in my life when things have gone off. I had one friend say, "Can't say if you're incredibly strong and incredibly stupid." And I was like, probably a bit of both in equal measure, if I'm honest. He said, but sometimes the problem is so great that the only thing I can do is cling to the one thing I know how to do and go, well, I'll just cling to that for right now, because the rest of the messy waters of my mind are just too choppy. But if I can cling to this bit, I'll move forward. And when I move forward, we see new things come into perspective, don't they? New opportunities come that allow us to see that actually that this too will end. I think for me that sometimes is a mantra I have to say to myself quite often, which is, if I'm in the moment of things that don't go well, it's like, this too will end. It's like, it's not going to be the thing that pulls you back.
And I think there can be so many times where we drag this like bricks around with us, and we build, and we're like, oh, this didn't happen, but every day is a new day.
Yeah.
And a new chance to start over and making different decisions, and not build up this wall that keeps us from seeing the beautiful opportunities and like the mirror fun house of what's out there.
Oh, I love that. And for me, if life's taught me anything, it's that everything in it is a lesson, a blessing, or both. So in the moments I don't feel blessed, I look for the lesson and the blessings right there, wrapped up in the center of it. But I guess for me, that was the start of my moving my mindset. But for you, what does it mean to have a mindset of abundance?
So it really is opposite of what a mindset of scarcity. So the whole mindset of I've got to hold on to this because I don't know when the next opportunity will come. Like keeping my money to myself instead of investing it. And it's like not taking these chances to allow abundance to come in.
Yeah.
So it's really like being open to receiving. It's like, I don't know how this is going to happen. I don't have control of every little piece, but there is goodness to be had. And there are things we can fight for to have in our life, and just counting the blessings and the days when you're like, well, this just sucked. It's thinking of the things that are truly different, that you have built, that are good. And so continuing to bring that in and allowing the toxicity to lead, whether it's people, situations, it's like that's not on the road to where I want to achieve this vision I have for myself.
I love that. And you mentioned earlier about your son and wanting to really change that. And I've got a little girl, and she's a little earth angel, and for me, she is my constant reminder of change. And I saw that in the way your face lit up when you mentioned your son. Clearly, you've been gifted with an earth angel too.
Yeah.
That helps in that. If I've been gifted with this little miracle, this amazing piece, then I'm not all bad. And if I deserve this, then imagine what else I deserve. For me, that was the start of the shift of my mindset, was when I realized if I didn't change it, that might become the legacy I left her. Because our children learn not just by what we say and do, but how we are and who we are. And so for me, that took me on my journey to go, this has to change. This has to be different.
Yeah. And we are the ones in control of that.
Yeah.
Like we steer the shit. And it's funny you mentioned my son, because I also feel like I got the kid lotto.
Yeah.
Like I got this child. What prompted me to get back to Austin into the engineering career was I told him when he was applying for colleges, shoot your shot. Don't listen to people who'll say, oh, save money, stay home, telling people him to play small.
Yeah.
And so it's like, go for what you want. And so he applied to 20 colleges.
Yeah.
A few Ivy Leagues, and his stories were about me and our single mother life, as a family, just the two of us. And it was so inspiring to see him put in the hard work, him have the vision, and I'm just sitting back and going like, okay, where are we going next weekend? What's the next college visit? And so seeing that, the kids feed back to us, like you're saying. And I was like, I can go back into engineering. Like, I still have skills that I had forgotten about, that I like neglected. And I got an engineering job 2 months after he moved off to school.
Yeah. That's
And
amazing.
the part that was the best of the story, people were like, why don't you want to stay in Florida and be near him? And he told me, Mom, no matter where we're at, we will always be close.
Yeah. Oh,
So I'm like, I'm going to Texas.
Yeah. I love that though, because that just shows just what a bond you've built. And that distance never breaks that bond, because we're always together. I always say the same thing to Scarlett. We'll always be together because we're always together in here. So distance.
Yes.
I know it's a bit different. She's 7, so the greatest distance is usually she's upstairs and I'm downstairs. But
Yeah.
It's conceptual, for those parts that need to go. So clearly, he must be a big part of what you're proud of. But what else are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of being able to take myself out of the ghetto and live this lifestyle that I could have only dreamed of before. Like, I'm where I wanted to be when I had my visions of my future. So it's like, now what? So I'm really open to, like, okay, what's next? Like, what's the next dream? What's the next vision? What do I build? All at the same time, being able to stay grounded. So doing the breath work, doing the manifestation, doing the journaling. And so I really pride myself on, I call it a being a bippy.
Bippy.
So it's a term that I made up after I came here, and a girl in a program that I said is like, why are you leaving behind this light working and this yoga and this whole lifestyle of being heart center to work at a job? And it was really like eye opening, because I was like, you know, we can have addition in our life. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Like, life is so full of more than black and white thinking. And if you look at everything in the universe and the globe, it's like there's so many options.
Yeah,
And it's like, pick a day. It's gonna the sunset's gonna look different than the other day. So it's like truly finding like the beauty in everything.
yeah. I love that, because I think there is, we often are so busy deciding that this is right and that's wrong, or without realizing that just because I'm right doesn't make you wrong, just because you're right doesn't make me wrong. We're just seeing things from a different perspective, and when we open our mind to that, we open our mind to a world of possibilities we otherwise would have missed. So how does that all fit in with Inner Bling Styling, which I love, by the way? I love the name Inner Bling, because I think we do. Sometimes we put, I loved when you talked about you're looking at what people wear. And I know for a lot of years in corporate life, I wore a costume. I wore what I was expected to be, because I'd been told you don't have the gravitas and you don't have the vocabulary to get to the level of where your brain would take you. So I kind of changed. I think everything I wore was black, threw in the occasional bit of navy, just for colour, and was just very corporate. And it wasn't me. And the point that I shed that and went, do you know what? I live my life like a hyperactive puppy dog most of the time, so I'm just going to be me. And then I'm not going to have to worry about trying to be somebody else while I worry about building the life I want to build. And I imagine you must meet a lot of clients that are going through that, are they?
Yeah, so a lot of clients don't even know how to. So it's the theme that I say is style your story boldly for the queen within. So we have a whole story that we want to tell, that we want to get into the world. And then we have this daily duty to get into our clothes. And so why not make it more personal? Why
Yeah,
not shape inside and out who you want to be seen, who you want to walk through the world every day and express yourself? Like that, like you're talking about the whole corporate, this is like the box, let's fit it into it. I mean, and that was so silly. This is like the young me. I was like, I want to fit in with the guy with engineering and not stand out. So I had my button up and slacks.
yeah,
And I mean, we have curves. It's like
yeah, yeah,
there's no hiding that I'm a woman. And so now, I embrace the pinks. I embrace the butterfly earrings, like a little tone in just to sneak in to express what is important to me and what inspires me.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so every day should be like, oh, a boutique. Like, what awesome thing do I have to wear today. And the more purposeful you are, the more, preparation is key for everything. So you just build and build your brand, build who you are, and just continually making this authentic, curated wardrobe to go out into the world and be you. Maybe it's one day it's like wearing your furry little things, and so it's really important to, I think, for people to embrace their body.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing because most people who are like, when I get there, when I am this or that way, that side. But it's like we don't live in that point in time. We
Yeah.
have this body now that we should embrace with all the things that's carried us through and style the heck out of it. You know, accentuate your parts, hide the ones that you want to like tone down, but just be you. And going through that story and that journal is really empowering to find who is that person deep in and how do you get your message out into the world.
I love that. And you do sometimes have to go really deep within, don't you? And kind of change out those. I did lots of research on this over the last few years, and we create our persona at the age of 7, and we enforce it at the age of 14, and we embed it at the age of 21. And unless we go back and do any inner work, we're running on outdated software. And I'm 51.
Exactly.
I looked at him and went, if I hadn't updated my software, I'd be running on software that was 30 years old. I wouldn't dream of running my computer or my phone on such outdated software. And yet we go around and do that for ourselves. So, I talked to lots of clients about it's time to probably update it. How many bugs are in there that need fixing? How many things are in there that you think are real and they're working, but actually they're so not working? So I love that actually what you're doing is helping people go back and find those parts of themselves and do that operating system upgrade, which we do regularly for all the electronic equipment around us. And yet we
Yes.
don't do it with the most
You're totally
important,
speaking my language.
really the most important thing that is there, which is the operating system that controls us and our decisioning.
Yeah, and it's similar to like when they chisel monuments, or I can't even think the name, but they carve it out.
Yeah.
So it's like what's in there? It's a beautiful, you know, canvas that only you can define,
Yeah.
and only your stories can be told. So
Yeah, I
I
love
think
that. You've
it,
got to find it, haven't you?
yeah, yeah. So it is, and so every day is like, what's the today's adventure is gonna be today, and I throw people off because this outfit I actually had for New Year's Day 2024. We ended up not going anywhere significant, so I didn't wear it. But then I'm looking at it, I'm like, it's August now. Like it's just sitting there. It's like, let's have some fun. They often talk about, using the china, using the things, because we're living to today and we have no promises of tomorrow. So it's
Oh,
be true to yourself, be who you are, and style from the inside
oh,
out.
I love that. That reminds me of 2 bits of advice my grandparents gave me, and I think they've pretty much summed up life. So my nan said, make every day a school day. So in every day, learn something, whether that's something new externally or something new internally, make sure you learn something. And my granddad's was, live each day as if it's your last, and one day you'll be right, which I guess is true. But for me, it was that part that was saying, yeah, don't put it off till tomorrow. Don't wait for, a special occasion, or, when I'm going to go to something that I may never get to go to. So actually wear it today, use it today, do it today. And you can do it again tomorrow. It's like that, which we
Yeah.
absolutely fine. So, Ellen, you've told us so much already and shared such fascinating journey and great insight. But if you could go back and give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be?
I would say it would be to learn to tap into the inner well inside of you, because it's infinite. Like, dig deep to find the love, to find the answers. We are the only ones who are with ourselves 24/7. No one else is the author, co-creator, or manager of our life. It's us. So I think it's really important to find that self-love. And journaling helps a lot for me to like ask the questions why, because it's like those thoughts, those feeling come and go. But what's real? And that's the stories you tell yourself and that you believe about yourself.
I love that. I often say in my own head, I often say, what's actually happening and what am I making it mean? Because for me, that helps me separate the two, because our brains, in the absence of fact, create a story. And those stories aren't always real, but we believe them, don't we? So,
Yes.
so pulling that back really is insightful in how we regain control of that pen. So, Ellen, I could chat to you all day, but I'm conscious we've come to time. So we'll make sure in the notes below we've got how to get in touch with you. But I know also that you've got coaching services and a luxury retreat coming up. Can you tell us briefly about that? And then we'll make sure that obviously how to get in contact with you is included in the notes below.
Yes. So I actually do one coach, currently 3 and 6 month programs, and my little nerdy engineer self customizes programs based on what people's focus is, where they're at. Like, so, this person's going to have a different one than the others. So I really focus on meeting the client where they're at. And then the luxury retreat, we're going back to Costa Rica. And that's actually where I had my whole 180 shift. And it's a luxury retreat, Dominical, like 11 minutes by grounds transportation to the beach.
Wow.
And it's February 28th to March 4th. And it's going to have luxury styling session, yoga, breath work, manifestation, and meditation sessions. And then also personal training and some group classes. So it's a lot there for the holistic person.
Yeah.
Because we aren't just everything inside of us, and we aren't just everything you see with your eye. We're a infinite like mix of so many parts. So it's like, this is to nurture that. And it's really an honor to have the opportunity to bring people on their transformation and guide that. So I'm excited about that and would love to talk to anyone about what it looks like, what their journey is, and how we can, help them live their dream and elevate.
I love that. We will make sure that all the details of how to connect with you are in the show notes. And I highly encourage people to reach out and have a conversation, because we never know what one conversation is going to do to transform the rest of our lives.
Exactly. So
it's been an absolute delight. Thank you so very much for sharing your journey, sharing your lived experience, and sharing your ethos of how we actually can flip the script and turn the end of the book into one we want to read if we're in a book that we're not enjoying.
Yes, thank you so much, Kim, for having me on here.
Pleasure. And until next time, everybody, take care.